Hello, hello, hello. It's Mark Attwood here. Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in the Cosmic Suit. It is Monday the 24th of June, recording this a very balmy day. It's very sweaty, but there is sunshine in Ireland, which is not too bad. Listen to this. Ooh. You getting that? Ooh. I started using things like this when I started the podcast 4 years ago. I've not played one in a while. We are frequency. Don't forget that. Keep your frequency high as we move into this summer. Stranger things are afoot. Elections afoot. It's very interesting. I'm going to do a video about Nigel Farage. I was trying to do one to everybody that keeps writing to me and saying, "Where are your coffee mornings gone?" It's really, I love doing those videos, but the cafe where I do them, the reason why I could do them is because I was the only one who would sit outside in the cold, which meant I'd never got disturbed. But every time I go there now, people come in and out. So anyway, cheers. This is reverse osmosis hydrogen water with electrolytes and methylene blue. I highly recommend you go to your online bookstore and get the book by Mark Sloan on methylene blue if you haven't already. It's a great book, and it's something I recommend everybody looks into. Now, on Saturday, thank you to everybody that came to the town of Boyle in County Roscommon in Ireland for the talk in the pub next door to the healing centre, live5dhealth.com. We had an amazing chat there with Ian McDermott, Professor Ian McDermott, who's been on my channel not so long ago, who is a Harley Street knee surgeon who gave a very spirited and humorous and deeply touching chat about medical ethics. But he left it, he read the audience, and there was a lot of interaction. And I will be posting the recording of that talk this week at some point, probably not on YouTube though. If you are one of my followers, please don't expect everything to go on YouTube, because every time I put anything on there, they slap me like I'm a naughty boy. But I am on Rumble and I am on Substack, Diary of a Conspiracy Theorist.substack.com. That's where I do my writing as well as my videos. And Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, and X. Shadow banned on all of them, but still alive and well. Just to give you a taste of how funny Ian is, here's a little video here with, what's your name?
Mark.
That's me.
Ian.
Ian what?
Oh, Ian McDermott.
Oh, the professor.
That's the one.
Oh yeah. So
Mr.
Ian McDermott here is going to be doing a talk today in this lovely pub. And you can see behind me, he's already set up. What does that one say? I thought that was the Make Nuremberg Great Again. There it is.
There you go.
As if on cue. Look at that. So you're looking forward to this talk today?
No, not really.
Oh, well, it's kind of the end of the video then.
Sorry, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the talk. Yeah.
I think that's where the bit you're talking to is there. Just there.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the talk.
What are you
Is that convincing?
Well, no, not really.
I'm really looking forward to the talk.
No, I'm still not there.
Can I do my sincere face?
Yeah.
Do you want a biscuit or anything else?
No,
biscuits?
Fine, thank you.
I'm good, thanks. Good for biscuits.
I'm really looking forward to the talk.
That's very good, yeah.
Thank you.
So what are you going to talk about today?
Oh, just bits and pieces about how utterly insane the whole world is and how everyone's gone mad. A few facts and a few figures which people don't seem to care about anymore. Facts and figures, do they? And I don't know, the aim is not to harp on about how many mistakes have been made and the bad things. It's to have an understanding of the bad things to help you have the strength and see a clear path through to fight for the good things. That's the key thing.
Well,
Yeah.
Good.
So
That
I
sounds
hope-
quite good.
I hope there's going to be information, but more importantly, I hope there's going to be a bit of humour, and most importantly, I hope it's going to kind of motivate people to realise, oh, hold on, they're not mad. The last 4 years have been mad. They're not mad. And and give people the strength to keep on fighting, doing the right thing, and to forge ahead.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you made it out to the west of Ireland. This is the pub next door to our healing centre, and we've got maybe 50 odd people going to turn up today, but we're going to film this and it will be seen by 10, 20,000 people at least in the next few weeks. So that's good. So you better be good.
Look at that. Yep.
Yeah?
I better be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ian always puts me in a very good mood. He's a wonderful human being, a phenomenal doctor, and extremely funny. We had a very, very good afternoon, and thank you to everybody that came and engaged. There were some really passionate moments that afternoon, and there's a lot of the event was interesting really as well for the people that didn't turn up, because I've noticed over the last couple of years that there's a kind of change. When we did live events 2 years ago, everything was packed, but there is fatigue. There's massive fatigue. I was reading something on X this morning about, come on, white hats, we've had enough waiting, blah, blah, blah. This isn't about timing. It isn't about, it's event driven. We've got to realize this is event driven, and just keep going back to the same thing. This is what I keep going back to. It's up to you what you do, but I keep going back to the same thing, that we dodged the biggest bullet in history in 2017. We were all supposed to be dead by then. So what is going on has to be a good thing. And we are watching a movie play out. And I know people get fed up when they hear that statement, but it's true. Just look at the actors and look at all the crazy shenanigans going on. It's all really to distract us while they're doing the cleanup, in my opinion. And if I'm wrong, we're all dead. Who cares? We'll see you at the pub. Anyway, a couple of the people that came along to the show on Saturday, who are friends of the show, I've been on one of their shows, are joining me today. That's Carl J. Ashley and Dee. Hello, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Afternoon.
You got on screen there, Ancient Spirit. Oh, go on, play that, Dee. Nice.
Hear it?
Tibetan singing bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We're just getting the sound, but did you? I don't know if you had a chance to go. You didn't get the chance to go to the healing center when you came on Saturday, did you?
No, not this time.
Sorry, we yeah. You know what it's like when you're doing events. There's we're getting a sound healing bed delivered very soon, and yeah, it's incredible. The power of frequency healing is not to be missed with. Anyway, instead of being waffling, I've been on Carl's show about a year ago, which I believe you're down. Whereabouts are you based in Ireland? You guys?
Tipperary.
Tipperary.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, your show. Do you want to tell the viewers about your show first?
Yeah, we did a podcast there about a year ago for a men's mental health group I run online called Menscape. There's no marketing for it. It's just purely word of mouth invitations. But fortunately, some amazing, beautiful and funny people come along from time to time, and we do a podcast, and we record it and put it out on good old YT. A couple of those were hence deplatformed. But the vast majority of them are still up there, including the one we did. It was one of the best I've had, for sure. And yeah, it's one of a few things where I like to pay a bit of something back. It's not monetized. It's just a men's mental health group where we have sort of few guys in there sharing information on nutrition, motivation, and there's a few truthers that are about as popular as a fart in a lift, like myself.
Well, it's very important work. Although I was driving around yesterday, and I drove through this town, and I said, "What? A women's centre? What's so important about women that they have their own centre?" And then there was another centre for something else, and I was like, "There's all centres everywhere for everybody," but it's not. The mental health, especially in Ireland, is a big problem. Right. It's famous for having one of the highest suicide rates in the world, especially amongst young men. So I think it's fantastic. That's why I came on your podcast, because I just always want to support that. How do people find that?
Yeah, so on the Truth Clinic, www.thetruthclinic.com is the website that has a bit of information about Menscape. People can connect with me directly or contact me directly. There's a WhatsApp link on the website, and if they're interested to join, which a few have, they're more than welcome to. We we created it in the lockdown as a forum to connect. The pubs and the restaurants open back up again. And I said, guys, will we let the group go? And they said, no, let's keep it going. So we just function as a kind of a WhatsApp group more so than a kind of monthly Zoom. But if we were to arrange a meetup, that'd be fantastic. And there's some great guys in the group. It's a fabulous resource. And yeah, we were able to share some information, particularly on some nutrition and health and positive mental health. And given what we've all been through in the last 4 years, where you're witnessing being gaslighted on a major scale by the media and the government and what have you, there's a lot of us still standing strong. And in the words of the Who, we won't get fooled again, you know?
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I went to the post office earlier because I got an email from On Post and it said, Mark, we've had this parcel for a week. You're going to come and get it or not? Because we're going to send it off. I didn't even know there was. So I went down anyway, been to pick it up. They're all great guys at the post office. And he hands me the thing and he's got this machine there with like a signature thing. I said, what do you want me to do? You want me to sign it? He said, no, the COVID's coming back. So we're not touching nothing. And I went, and I just went, it's coming back. It's coming back. It was never here. You know, there's only so many jokes you can get away with. But that was interesting. He said, the postman said it's coming back. Have I missed a meeting?
Yeah. And I think he's got a different name. You know, it could be like Bird something.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I heard the rumors.
Well, like last time, I shall just ignore it and not comply in any way, shape or form with anything these fascists throw at us. But anyway, Dee, what's your story?
What's my story? God, where do I start?
Start at the beginning.
God, that's a long way. Ex-hotel manager, stressed out, went rogue and turned into a hippie and a holistic therapist.
Brilliant.
I do energy healing, sound healing, retreats, ancient spiritual tours now, hypnotherapy, art therapy, you name it. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. And what's so Carl, you sound Mancunian. Are you Mancunian?
Yeah, from Ashton-under-Lyne in the northwest of England, Manchester, for my sins. Yeah. I used to
I used to go to a lot of gigs in Ashton-under-Lyne at what's the name of the pub?
Yeah, the Witchwood.
The Witchwood. In fact,
great venue. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite ever bands and one of my best friends is from that area. And I was actually just, you know, when Google Photos sort of pops things up, and I keep getting these memories pop up, and it keeps. There was a gig that I went there in 2016. It keeps popping up.
Right.
I was hoping I'd be able to find it here quickly because they were brilliant.
It was one of my old haunts for the jukebox and playing pool, and then we saw a band called the Osric Tentacles.
Yeah, I know them. I knew them.
Yeah.
And did you ever meet Darren Poyser? He was the manager. He put on all the gigs.
The name's familiar, but I don't recall. No.
Well, he was great. He used to do this thing called Stand and. Sorry about this, Dee. I'm just going to reminisce for a little bit.
It's okay. Let's go for it.
He did this stuff in the 80s called Stand and Deliver, I think, and that's when I first met him and my mate Steve. And it was stand-up poetry, comedy, all sorts went on there. It was a real hive of creativity back in the day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was a great place. I don't know what it's like now. If you're from Ashton-under-Lyne, maybe you leave a comment and tell me how it's going. I did, unfortunately, lose touch with a lot of people there because they've either died or they went all COVID on me. But that's just that's a common story with a lot of us, isn't it?
Absolutely. Getting blocked, deplatformed, rejected, told that you're delusional, and the cult of the black sheep is now you got to find out who your tribe is.
Well, did you two find it interesting that such a free speech chat was able to happen in the middle of an Irish pub on Saturday? Because
the way it evolved was fantastic. I thought Ian spoke well. The one or two kind of Northern Irish fellas kind of hijack these things like they do for any of those kind of meetings, but it's like with good humor as well. And the way Ian spoke, he really touched us with what he was saying about how it was just his job to support his wife and her then being the sort of main carer for the children and their upbringing. And the way he communicated was it was excellent, I thought. Yeah. And he's funny as well. We keep in touch. He's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah. And then even get it inside a pub or a venue.
It was perfect.
Welcome. It was great. Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important. You know, I've done big events, 500 people. I've done the tours and everything, but to do something like that locally like that is really important. But there was an attempt to close us down, but unfortunately they didn't realize that I've actually got a 20-year relationship with the owners of the pub. I'm not just, although I'm still a blow-in.
Yeah.
And, you know, but they've been incredibly supportive because it's free speech at the end of the day. I mean, why, you know, closing people down for having an opinion about stuff is insane, isn't it?
All it was a casual meeting, and we're all having drinks in a pub. Like, that's it.
It doesn't get any better. So look, I really appreciate you both coming. You've just got back from the Sligo Spiritual Fair, is that right?
Yeah, a holistic fair. Yeah, up there. And then today we took a detour and we ended up, what was it called, Carol?
Carroll Moor. Carroll Moor. Ancient sacred site there with a few sort of wedge tombs and dolmens and standing stones and, you know, the kind of stuff that we do.
Yeah, that's the one near Strand Hill.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I've had a lot of people come over to Ireland because they've watched the show and they've toured a lot of these sites. I made it my mission when I found out about the true spiritual power of this land and the fact that we are literally surrounded by ancient technology, is the way I'd put it.
Yeah.
It's just too interesting to not go and start looking around. And then I started reading books like Island Land of the Pharaohs, which you guys can just go and Google it. You can get the PDF for free. I've interviewed a few people who've written some books. I'm trying to look for them now. Like Island Atlantis is a good book. Not quite where I put it, but it's still very interesting. The links to Atlantis, an island. And then, of course, when you go north, you can go to the Giant's Causeway, where there's a giant visitor center full of lies trying to convince people that hexagonal lava was formed naturally by nature. And then there's another massive, I like to call it rewriting history in bricks and mortar. Like the Titanic Museum is just one great big fat lie. And there it is. And all the kids go in, they all believe this bullshit. And then you find out stuff like the Irish government has a department that literally goes around the country looking for old stuff and then chiseling crosses into it to make it look like it was Christian, even though it's thousands and thousands of years old. And obviously the fact that you've got ancient spiritual tours there means that you might have a little bit of an interest in this yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just became a passion. And we converted our own passion for going to these places into something that you could call a business or a venture. And we've put together a sort of 10 night, 11-day tour this September for anyone that's interested to join us with some of the best sites. But because as you alluded to, there's so many and they're everywhere, it's virtually impossible to condense it into just something that's 10 or 11 days. So we deliberately kept it to Clare, Limerick, Tipperary, Cork and Kerry, which are reasonably within an hour or two sort of geographical location of one another. And we've got some amazing places to bring people to if they're interested to come. Yeah.
And we're bringing in a twist to it as well, because you mentioned the spiritual side of it, but the healing side of it. So the earth, the land, the ancestors, we're bringing in healers, me being an energy and sound therapist. You've got Carl does his own version of healing through writing. We have shamanic healers coming in as well and doing drumming and chanting and the ancestral side of things. So it's to help people connect with the lands, the ancestors, and as you said, the ancient technology that's sitting in every field around this country. And it's to tune into that and what it can gift us. Yeah.
I like that idea that every field and every stone has a name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain more about that for the viewers. Because not everybody will know that.
Like all over the country, you'd be walking down a road and they're giving you the name, like the Haggart or the this or the that, and every stone in a field has an actual name. Like if you were to ask the older folk, they would call an area a completely different name than what I would call it. And a lot of this has been lost, but there is people out there gathering this information. And it tells the history of the area and what's been going on and happening in it.
Yeah.
He's like, run away on us.
For example, you've got Loch Gur there. Loch Gur is the oldest and the largest stone circle in the north of Europe, as far as we're aware, in County Limerick. And on the site itself, they've done sort of excavations and archaeological sort of finds. And we don't pretend to have the answers, but we've got plenty of questions.
Well, yeah, that's important. I mean, the reason I just dashed off is to the bookshelf is because I knew that this book was there. Have you ever read this book?
No, but it looks good.
Pie in the Sky. Because the reason why the older people know the names of the stones in the fields is because it was passed on to them, and it's because that is an inherent understanding of the consciousness of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And
storytelling.
Yeah, and not just that, the consciousness of stones.
The oral tradition.
And this book is called Pie in the Sky, P-I in the Sky, which I love because this is by Michael Poinder. And if you look on the back, it says, our distant ancestors knew the flow of energy from the sun is the life force, and that sunspot activity, planetary influence, and the Earth's electromagnetism and the wave energy properties of light all influence human life. And you've only got to look at, and he's down here, it says his quest began at Carrowkeel, which is between, which is my favorite place.
Yes.
Every time I go to Carrowkeel, I start running. It's because I just get really energized going up there. I love it. But that's another example of how they've rewritten history, because they call it the megalithic tombs. They're not tombs.
Right. Same with the pyramids in Egypt. They try and make out that they're tombs, but they're obviously not.
Yeah. What they are exactly, I don't know. I've had lots of different people say different things, but when you get books like this, it shows you. I mean, look, some of the sites of Ireland are just magnificent. Yeah. I mean, you could spend a year easily.
Longer.
You'd still not see it. Yeah, you still not see it all. But, they're just wonderful stuff.
And that's why we want to bring people to these places without they can do the official tours, but we're going to take people to places that don't have those tours and actually get them to stand and feel the energy, tune into the land, the history, and their perception of it and how they feel. Because like that, you can go and feel nothing in a major, beautiful site. You could be standing in an empty field with one stone and the energy is rushing through you and you're feeling it. And that's what it's about. Absolutely.
I mean, look at this picture here. This is the moon over one of the cairns on Carrowkeel on Beltane. If you look at that picture there.
Oh, very good. Yes.
Yeah, and if you look here, this is where it gets really interesting for me. And I haven't studied this enough. I'm still a student, but if you look at that's called the Star of Carrowkeel and those lakes there. One of them's right next to me here, Loch Key. And Loch Gar is just down the road. And, these cairns align perfectly with the stars because they knew that they're replicating the energy of that system. And once you understand that, I mean, I get a real buzz going into this business.
Loch Gar that Carl just mentioned, it's only down the road from us, but that is aligned with the summer solstice. So there's some amazing.
Oh, hang on, guys. Hang on. No. Surely we're on a globe that rotates at 100,000 miles an hour in an ever-evolving universe, purely by happenstance, flying through space. Surely something that was built 8,000 or 9,000 years ago and is still there today couldn't possibly be in alignment with the sun or the moon still.
No.
Who knows?
What were you thinking?
Yeah.
It is wonderful. I mean, there's also, things in Ireland like the Round Towers. Thomas Sheridan wrote a book on that. I've got here somewhere called The Mystery of Ireland's Round Towers. And nobody actually knows what they are either. It's,
like we were even in Sligo there yesterday, and we were looking at the courthouse in Sligo. Have you seen that
the building? Amazing architecture.
What is that? So it's when you start looking and seeing these places, and again feeling the energy for them, the questions start coming in more and more, and that's what we're trying to open up to people and invite that. So that's kind of what we're about.
Well, that's wonderful. If I just go on here, I'm just going to show the viewers. If you go to Google and type in Island Sacred Sites, you get this list here, and there's a lot of interesting things in here. I've not been to all of these, but a lot of these have been like they have worldwide. They've been, I don't know if you guys saw a video I did about 18 months ago, which was when I went to a stone circle in England with a woman called Gillian England. And she took me to a place called Arbor Low. Now, Arbor Low is a very low-key stone circle. You have to cross through a farmer's field. There's room for about 5 cars to park. But when I got there, and Gillian said, this is the only one that's an intersection of 9 ley lines. And I was like, whoa. So I couldn't resist going. And then when we got there, I got told this is the most powerful stone circle in the world. And then I got told, go over there. And when I went over there, and Gillian had been going there her whole life, and she'd never even seen this. And there were these square blocks, and each block had VR on, apart from the last one that had GR. So VR is Victoria Regina. So immediately we knew that these things were blocking the energy coming from this stone circle. So we energetically cleared them, and there was one for each ley line. So there were 9 of these blocks, but then there was a 10th with GR on it, which is George Rex. And when that one was cleared, we saw something incredible. The sun just came out of nowhere. It was a really cold, dark day. It just came out of nowhere. It was amazing. And then it changed. And it had a black outline with a white light going around it like this. And then in the middle of it, it turned into plasma. And then it was pumping out all these amazing colors. And I had 5-6 witnesses there, but we couldn't capture it on video. But you could tell by our reaction how amazing it was. And this is what I try to get across to people who watch this show, how important it is to find your local megalithic ancient sites, but beware of the ones that have all the tourists, because they have manipulated a lot of those to redirect the energy. There was one down in Cork we found that was had all the signposts and the car park and everything. But when we got there, the people that were there were messing with the energy of the place. And half an hour before that, we'd been taken by our friends to one that was hidden in a field, in a farmer's field, was overgrown. That was amazing. Yeah. And they're the ones off the beaten track.
Exactly. And like we went to one off the beaten track. Again, it was down around the Cork area. And where the stones were, and they looked amazing, Carl was like, no, it's over here. So like literally you have to use your knowing to know where the energy points are in these spaces, because they do get tampered with.
They do. They get blocked and redirected. It's the same with the roads. Most of the roads in Ireland were great 20 years ago because they were a bit shit, but they followed the lines of the cow.
Roads, yeah.
They followed the that was
John Waters.
John Waters' book, Bring Back the Bad Roads. That's the title, isn't
Correct.
it? Yeah. And because those roads were following the cow lines, where the cows were following the magnetism, they're following the ley lines or the dragon lines. So it was in harmony with nature. And then when they bring these, like they did the M1 in the UK, just cut it right down the middle. You've got this energetic thing that most people have no idea about.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that we're in a spiritual war, and the forces that look to divide and conquer and rule, these kind of psychopathic entities, if you like, they have knowledge of advanced spiritual tools. And the rest of us, you might say, are catching up in some respects, but there's a lot of ancient wisdom here in this amazing land. As you can tell from my accent, I'm a blow-in. I'm in Ireland about 23 years at this stage. And I lived in Clare for a long time, as well as Limerick and Tip. And there's just some real magic here, real magic from, you were mentioning about a motorway they built. In Clare, they built a motorway around a fairy tree because they were afraid to knock it. So you've got this beautiful tree just there in the middle, and the motorway literally goes around the tree, because if you say to a lad, go and take that tree down, he'd say, not a hope. There's no way I'm messing with the fairies. Like,
no, you absolutely not. But
No.
that is slipping away, and that's why it's so important that people are getting back interested in it. But the kids are not. The kids don't know. I mean, I just before you came on, I just sent 1707. That is the magic number, keeps popping up. I just sent a message to my daughter, which was outlining just a bit of history about the Irish slaves that were sent in the 1650s. There's like 1 million people were, let me just get the right numbers. From 1641 to 1652, over 500,000 Irish were killed by the English, and another 300,000 were sold as slaves. Ireland's population fell from 1.5 million to 600,000 in one decade. You know, and wow. My daughter, and there's quite a bit more to it than that. But then my daughter came back and says, "Why don't they teach us this in schools?" Well, she knows why, because she's my daughter. I've been telling her entire life. That's why she's obsessed with true history, Chartaria, and all of this kind of thing. And it's so important that we light these candles and keep them lit and dig deeper and deeper and deeper. Do you want to tell us the actual details of the tour and how people can, you know, are you open for bookings now? How do people find out? How do they get in touch with you? What's the itinerary where you know, specifically? Do you want to tell us that?
Yeah, where to start? I suppose first, this is our first tour. We are developing others at the moment. So the first tour is starting September 14th, running until the 24th of September. So it's a 10-day tour, I think 11 nights. On our website, which is ancientspiritualtours.com, it's all laid out there for you. So the first 2 days are based in Clare, and Carl, jump in if I get this wrong. We are meeting at an airport hotel just to make it easier for people that if they're flying in or coming on buses or whatever. And we will have a nice welcome dinner. Day 2, we are off to the Poolnabawn Dolmen out in Clare. I don't know if you've ever been there. A beautiful dolmen in the Burn, which is there. I
don't think I have been to that one.
If you click on tour details there on our website, you'll have the full itinerary. So we're out in kind of west. Is it West Clare, Carl? East Clare.
Yeah, we're going to go to Liscannor. We're going to go to the Cliffs. We're going to head down to the Rock Shop and come back the next day to Bunratty, Craganowen, an ancient sort of ring fort, and then we're going to bring people to a medieval banquet in one of the castles. Yeah, no. So that's included, as well as the Stone Circle in Limerick, in Lochgur, and then we're gonna head to.
We have an ancient spiritual site in Limerick that nobody really knows about. We're bringing people there.
You can't tell people about that one.
I can't, but I can. It's a really, really special site. It's got an amphitheater. It's some of the oldest trees in Ireland are there as well. So
it has its own ecology.
Yeah.
Mushrooms and things there that you don't get anywhere else, as well as the oldest crabapple tree in Ireland. Yeah.
That's interesting. I see. I'll just butt in for a second because I've just seen that you've got the Rock of Division, Craigmore in Limerick.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because there's over near Mullingar is I can't remember what it's called now. Ishnock, yeah. Right? And Ishnock is this big rock, and it's in a field on a hill, and it's on private land, and you have to book to get a tour of it. I've been there about 3 or 4 times, and that has different names. They call it the Cat's Cradle, I think, but also the Rock of Division, but also, and we'll. Last I can't remember who I was with there last time, but we're like, this shouldn't be called the Rock of Division because that's divisive in and of itself. It's actually the Rock of Connection, because underneath that is the goddess Eru. That's where she resides, and and when you go under that rock, it's between the Netherworld and this world, and then near here there's the Cat's Crave about half an hour away, which is again the entrance to the net. They know all of this stuff, but then even the names of these things have been created to put you off.
Yeah, the Rock of Divisions, where it comes from, it was like it's like a mini Ayers Rock when you see it. It's absolutely amazing, the size of it. But in the middle, it's actually you can walk through it like a T. So it's meant to actually show the division of Ireland, the ancient lands back then, how it was divided.
Into Munster, Leinster, Connacht, and what
I'd
one
say
of
it
them
could be
is?
even before
Ulster,
that.
Leinster, Connacht, and Munster. It's as if you've taken 100-foot ankle grinder and just cleaved the rocks, and
Or
there's
it was,
no explanation. It's like, how did that happen? Who put that there? What's going on?
if you actually look at it, it looks like there's blocks there. So it's either built or cut, but either way, it's the most words can't express what is there, you know.
That's really interesting because in Carrickeel, beyond the second cairn, there's a place called Gollum's Cave.
Okay.
Right? Gollum, as in Gollum. My precious. And, you know, Tolkien was here, obviously, and this was, I think this is the Shire. But in Gollum's Cave, it's very deep. And, you know, you can tell that you could get deeper. But I seem to remember there was like a block there, but it looked like a huge manufactured concrete block.
Yeah.
But when you look at the cave, you're like, how the hell could that possibly? Firstly, could it be natural? It doesn't look natural. And then how could that possibly have been put there? And it's very similar to a place called the Caves of Kesh.
Yes.
The caves. Have you ever been to the Caves of Kesh?
No,
we drove past it today because we were kind of in a rush to head back, but we managed to squeeze in Carroll Moor, and we saw the signs for Kesh and Carrow Keel. And look, we only need half an excuse to get back up there again. You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to go and see, but you know, I'm always looking for this whenever I go to sacred sites, because when you climb up to the Caves of Kesh, it's like on this hillside and these huge cave entrances that look like the doorways for giants. And when you get inside of it, it looks very much like it was cut, but a very, very long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that when I look at, you know, I went to the Devil's Tower in America a couple of years ago, and you know, it's so obviously a tree
stump of what's left.
It's so, and I think Ben Bulbin in Sligo is also a tree stump.
I was pointing this out today to one of the gents there. You can see the escarpments, and I said, "Can you imagine how big the tree must have been that was there?" And he looked at me and he cocked his head to the side a bit, and I wasn't. And I knew he might not be on board with the whole sort of idea that, you know. But I said in the Norse mythology they had Yggdrasil, or the world tree, and this tree was so huge. And then you had like the Midgard, and then you had the underworld, and then you had above the firmament. And a lot of what's been presented to us growing up as kids in England and Ireland as mythology or fiction is probably, presumably, more true, because the truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah,
absolutely. And the thing is, once you get your head around the fact that a lot of these things are trees, like for example, Crow Patrick, I think is the biggest pyramid in the world. But
yes, we saw it. It's so obviously a pyramid.
Yeah, it is. When you drive down from here, it's so perfect. Yeah. But you know, once you get your head around the fact that some of these mountains and stuff are actually trees, the next question is, what cut them down? And
well, there you go. The movie Avatar is like a documentary, right?
Absolutely. But we'll carry on with the tour. Let's go back to where are we here? The rock.
And also just to say about the Rocca divisions you were speaking about there, that area is connected with Princess Tia. So the Egyptian princess comes in there.
Well, that's interesting because
Tia Tepe? Tia?
Yeah.
Tia Tepe.
Yeah. Well, I think I was saying this to you on Saturday, or maybe I wasn't. Maybe I dreamt it, but I was saying to somebody that I've been going to the Sleeping Giant down in Sligo I've been past it on boats, rode past it, sailed past it, flown over it, looked at it from various angles. And last year I was up on Carrickeel looking at it, and it suddenly hit me. And it's called the Sleeping. For those people who are watching it, it's called the Sleeping Giant. It's just a big landmass that looks a little bit like a giant, dead giant
on his back.
On his,
I'd say.
Well, I looked at it last year, and I could see that it was a female Egyptian.
Oh.
Ooh.
Because I can't remember her name now. Oh my god. Akhenaten's granddaughter. Oh, Scotia, of course. Yeah, Princess Scotia.
Scotia's grave in Kerry.
Well, that's interesting as well, because Scotia's grave in Kerry, I'm not sure it is in Kerry. I think it's somewhere else that I've been to.
Yeah, it's a decoy site. We went to it and there was nothing there.
Yeah, because I went to a place, a very nice gentleman showed me around, and he said she's buried here, and I went, I don't think she is. I thought I felt her over here.
Yeah.
And people lash out at the screen. What do you know? Well, it's just that was my experience. But there's a huge, this connection to Egypt is so important with this country, because hardly anybody knows about it.
No,
the kids certainly don't, and they should.
I take it we might get to the Kerry and the Cork bits, but the Paps of Anu again obviously looks like a goddess on her back, and a lot of these sites are connected with the Morrigan, the goddess Anya, and the storytelling is a fascinating aspect of it as well. Yeah.
So like as we're going through the tour, we are visiting a lot of the places connected with the Tuatha De Danann. So the gods, the goddesses, all of that magical shining beings that came in on boats on clouds.
well, that's funny, because there's the Iron Mountain is in Drumshambo, right? Which is again half an hour from here, and I was there 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, and it's where the gunpowder gin is made now. The Iron Mountain is where the Tuatha De Danann apparently landed in their ships. And I was saying this story to somebody, and a woman that lives there, she goes, stop talking, you're shite, Mark. And I was like, what? And what I find amazing about that is when you start talking about that aspect of any history, but especially of Irish history, they've heard of the Tuatha De Danann, but then you say that, you just described it perfectly, Dee, because where's that written down about them coming in on spaceships, basically?
Well, I didn't say that now. I said ships.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Where is it written down? I have come across it in a few different places, but I couldn't tell you literature-wise. But that's literally how I read it.
In the ancient Vedic texts, there's talk of Vimyanas, which were the ancient flying machines. And if you go back far enough, presumably there was, before you had different languages and different nationalities, presumably we had one sort of worldwide kind of conscious people that sort of links together, the pyramids in Japan, the pyramids in Bosnia, the pyramids in Mexico with the pyramids in Egypt. It was all one. It was, all interconnected.
Well, the spaceship that I saw here a couple of years ago was covered in hieroglyphics.
Wow. Yeah.
It wasn't like a Star Trek spaceship. It was like a burnt orange color with hieroglyphics on it. And hieroglyphics are multi-dimensional letters. That they have more than it sounds. And what's the original language of Ireland? What's it called? Om.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible's supposed to be written. The Bible was supposed to be written originally in that language, wasn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Well, it's a rumor. Everything I'm saying is stuff that I've read, and it doesn't mean it's true.
Purposes.
But that's where it gets so interesting, because the link back to this country and this, and if you read Ireland, Land of the Pharaohs, by page 30, you understand that 16 layers of black. I've said this many times. 16 layers of black magic put on this country, and then you have to. And he says, but other countries too.
Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why 16 layers? Why has this place been hit so heavily? And I think it's connected with the kind of things that you're going to be showing people on this tour.
And one of the hosts of one of these sites, what he said to us one day was like, everything came out of Ireland and went out.
Yeah.
And then it came back in again. And that's literally how he worded it. And that was from the knowledge went out and it went to Egypt, but it's also come back in again. So how far you can take that, I don't know, but it was an interesting statement.
Presumably the sea levels were different then as well, so ships could have sailed a lot further in, or not, or the sea levels may have not been as high as they are now. But one thing is for sure, the connection between ancient Egypt and ancient Ireland is undoubted.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's keep going through the tour. On day 7, you the Rock of Cashel and Cahir Castle. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, the official mainstream sort of narrative connects it to St. Patrick, but obviously it's from a long time before the character of St. Patrick.
I'm glad you said the character of St. Patrick, because I've just learned this whole area was cursed by St. Patrick.
Okay.
And I've seen the curse, and we've done some work on that. But the word Patrick is derived from the word patrician, and patrician is of the ruling class of Rome. So actually, what we think is Patrick was actually a patrician, a Roman soldier. And apparently, when he came to this town, Boyle, he was crossing the Boyle River on one of those bridges in his chariot, and the chariot fell off the bridge, and so did he. And he was really embarrassed. And then the local lads stole his horses, so he was really pissed off. So he was raping and pillaging his way around Ireland, but he did a big curse here.
Yeah.
And and then they took the character of St. Patrick and they always do that, don't they? They always get a character that's been either horrible to people and then turn them into a hero,
like Columbus.
In
order to create this identity that's completely fake.
Yeah, but it's even the story. He got rid of the snakes out of Ireland. What were the snakes? They were the druids. It was the Kundalini. It was the magic. It was that energy. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he didn't succeed.
No. There's still a few of us around.
Yeah, so carry on there. Here we just back to this then.
Yeah, Cahir Castle, Rock of Cashel. I mean, there are local castles. There's also underneath there, you see in the picture, that's an abbey across the road from the Rock of Cashel. It's absolutely beautiful abbey. And again, all of these abbeys, they've so much similar architecture when you travel around. It's really interesting. And I reckon they're energy sites, not necessarily just purely religious. There was something there before.
Oh, definitely. Because if anybody, we did a dowsing course here not long ago, and every church, all of these things are built on the energy of the water that's beneath them.
Yes.
And the vortex is caused by the crossovers, is where they have things, and there's a round tower there as well on that castle there. I'd like to go and see that.
Yeah, that's the Rock.
That's the Rock. Okay.
It's quite a magnificent site. And as a location, there's no doubt it would have been a fortification as well. So if you're going back to the times of when there was sort of clans, I think they oversell the idea that there was always war. I do in places like, say, for example, Skellig Michael, being out there, I got a tremendous sense of peace. Like these were monks, or these were men of God, or these were peaceful people that lived there. And yet they sell us on the narrative of there being clans that were at war all the time. Now, sure, there must have been a bit of that, but I do believe that Ireland deserved its kind of name as the land of saints and scholars as well.
It was 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And keep going. I'm flipping through the website here.
You went past a lovely picture there, and you can see where the crosses are on the stones. This beautiful place down in Cork, Ballyvorney, they have this, and that whole area, they have this lovely tradition of doing their own crosses. So there's a piece of quartz somewhere there, and they're doing their prayers or they're doing their devotion, and they'll just create their own crosses. It's all over the place like this, all the sacred sites. So
Gobnet's well was connected with. She was obviously turned into a saint afterwards by the sort of Christianity and patriarchy. But before that, the Gobnet was connected with Maeve, and the energy at the St. Gobnet's well there near Ballyvorney. Such a beautiful, peaceful environment, and it's still very active to this day with people that go.
And Maeve, you've seen what they call Maeve's tomb here in Sligo,
where we were this morning. We were looking over at Knocknarea.
Yeah, Knocknarea, and I don't think that's a tomb either.
No.
And just for the listeners, Maeve was the famous Queen of Ireland. And I walked up there about 4 or 5 months ago, and it was a really hard walk, and not because I was unfit, but the energy was really, really interesting up there.
Yeah.
And then when you learn other stuff like the cult of the Black Sun and the Vril society that operates in that area, it does become a little bit more interesting.
I went up to a place called Temple Hill here in Tipperary, and at the top was the ruins of what was obviously a temple. You know, they hadn't rebuilt it, but a lot of these places, there's usually a real and a truthful story and history behind them, and then there's the more official and subverted narrative, and it's up to each person to have their own discernment. Again, we're not coming at this saying we've got all the answers and we know everything. What we want to do is bring the people to these sites and say, here's a handmade leather handcrafted journal, here's a pen, write down your thoughts, do a bit of journaling, do a bit of diarying, and see what comes up for you. How do you feel? How does going to these places make you feel? You know?
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And yeah, I mean, it looks fantastic. You said you wanted me to come and do a talk at one of these days. Have we set that date?
We were hoping to. I'm not sure if you're coming on this tour. Were you busy? I think you said you were busy at some stage.
Well, I'm always busy, but
yeah.
You know, it's such a good tour. If I can,
the day that we're at the Rock of Division, I think, is tailor-made for you, Mark, if you're available.
Would that be the 20th of September?
Thereabouts. We'll confirm whether it's the 20th or the 21st. I think we're in Carnahalla on the solstice, or is it the equinox?
That would be interesting because
the equinox. Yeah, so either that day or the day after, the 21st or the 22nd.
Because my nan was born in Limerick.
Oh.
The first episode of this podcast was filmed in Limerick.
So you feel a connection with Limerick. What part?
Well, I don't know. Well, what part was the podcast filmed, or where my nan was?
Well, your nan. Your nan.
Well, I don't know. That was 100 and something years ago, but she was taken out of Limerick as a child, and
yes.
I can't. If there's anybody watching this from Limerick who is either a Jordan or a Farrell, and you think I look a bit like a relative, get in touch, because I couldn't go back far enough to really dig in. You know, it might have been Angela's ashes, but knowing what I know now about the true history of this earth, it might have been avoiding child stealing.
Right.
You don't know, do you? So, yeah. You know, there's a bit of a mystery, but I do know.
Even if you're not available for the tour in September 2024, Mark, you're more than welcome to join us in April 2025. We'll be doing a similar thing in Munster, and we'd love to have you at either Carnahalla, the Rock of Division, or one of the sites where, you know, it'd be great to get a Tom Coffee as well, and we're bringing in Brian, and to have the guest speakers bring in some extra energy really adds another dimension to it, you know.
Well, I just come as an enthusiastic amateur, but you know, if I had 10 days, I'd come and do the whole thing. I just never have it because I've got so many children and commitments and things going on all the time. But maybe I should just hang up my boots and go on tour Ireland for a couple of years.
Yeah, a couple of years. I love it.
Why not? I am tempted. I do. There's part of me that wants to fly around the coast in a gyrocopter, and another part of me that wants to walk around it, and then another part of me that my son's already sailed around it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, he's beat me to that one, but that's fine. He can have that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. What was that, Dee?
It'll motivate you now to get your finger out and do something bigger and better.
Well, you know, we've all got different paths to follow, but I think it's great that you're doing this, and you know, people. I hope maybe a load of Americans will come over, but maybe there's be some people locally as well. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this stuff. You never know. But if you guys watching the website's on the screen, ancientspiritualtours.com. Put the link below the video. It's been really good chatting to both of you. Our time is up, but really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let us know how it goes when you're on the go, and be good to do a show live from one of the ancient sites. Actually, maybe we could do that.
Yeah.
And you could talk us through some of these sites while you're actually there.
Ooh, yes, why not?
Yeah, no, I love doing stuff like that, because if we can't all be it, because this stuff, and it's not just about the experience for the people going, it's spreading the knowledge as well, and getting the interest going, because it is such a phenomenal country to look around for this sort of thing, and it's like it is literally a gem on the earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. And the more, there's so many things out there that have been forgotten about. And I go back to Loch Gur again. Why do we not know the connection? Why do we not know what it was for? There's definitely a lost connection, a link there. But, you know, what we know now, we need to hold on to that and spread that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, you guys watching, thanks for watching. If you want to go and meet these guys in person in September, the link's below here. And you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Mark. God bless you.
Take care. Bye-bye.